everyone. Welcome back to Let's Play Great Ace Attorney 2. Ryunosuke's Resolve. This is V-Diffuser. In our last episode, we've successfully pinned that Seshiro Jigoku actually murdered Tobias Gregson, and we also found out the real person who is the Reaper. Yep, it's Strongheart. And he's gonna do whatever he can do to say he never did it. I'm not doing that. That will be all. I hereby declare this trial to be over. Court is... Well, Sherlock. Mr. Sholmes! This is no place for amateur detection, Mr. Sholmes. May I remind you these proceedings are closed to the general public. You will leave the courtroom at once. Mr. Sholmes was instrumental in the apprehension of Seshiro Jigoku before he fled from Europe. The court should hear what he has to say. Lord Mail Strongheart, it's imperative that you refrain from bringing this trial to the end at this stage. Is it really? And why would that be? You need only recall your own words from the opening of the trial to answer that question, if I may. We will stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings. Surely it can't be that the shock of being accused of being the Reaper of yourself has erased that from your memory. Can it? The whole truth, sir, has already been uncovered. It would seem we have a great many important members of the judiciary present here today. I put it to you, my dear fellows. Should the trial end at this juncture? After all, why have you been invited to attend? To nod along with the prevarication of your superiors? Oh, he's good. Order in the court. It seems to me we stand before a door that leads to a new era of legal practices. A door is ajar. Let us emerge from the shadow of the Reaper's decade-long ascendancy. For you and you alone, my dear fellows, have the power to push this door open right now. The auditors in the gallery have no rights to express an opinion on court proceedings. Silence! He's right. The judge has absolute authority here. Yes, if he calls the trial to an end, it must end. What will that really do? I sense dark things occurring behind the scenes. Dark things indeed. Is there a single person present here who can honestly say he doesn't say the same? What? The trial should go on! Summon the witness! That's right. We need to clear this up before that young Japanese fellow is... blah blah blah. My lord, you assured those present that you would uncover the whole truth here. Vindicate yourself of this outlandish accusation. The truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. That's the very foundation of British law. A toast to my dependable colleagues in the gallery. Well, my lord, you hear the voice of British justice, I take it? I think you'll find it would be rather awkward to silence. The court will recess briefly. I've no intention of shrinking from these allegations. Bailiff, arrange for the subpoena to the witness at once. As soon as the gentleman arrives at the courthouse, we shall reconvene. A recess won't be necessary, my lord. Pardon? Mikitoba is a close friend of mine. He accompanied me today and is waiting in the antechamber as we speak. I do believe he's been enjoying a little trip down memory lane, in fact. What? Professor Mikitoba's here in the courthouse. Mr. Sholmes, you didn't know this would happen, did you? My dear fellow, no one is in a better position to answer that question than you, surely. I wasn't just asking for the fun of it, you know. Well, I must thank you for your assistance in this matter, Mr. Sholmes. However, you are of no further use here. Kindly leave the court at once. But of course, in truth, I find myself rather busy now as a result of these developments. Mr. Naruhodo? Yes? Yeah, I trust you have Iris's little lucky charm with you. Absolutely. It's still in my pocket. She sends her regards and a reminder. If you find yourself at a dead end, the ears are at your disposal. Just one tug, if you please. Of course. In that case, the trial will continue without delay. Bailiff, show the witness to the stand. So it's Lord Strongheart. He's the Reaper of the Bailey. Where exactly is this trial going to take me, I wonder? How deep am I going to be plunged into the blackness of the abyss? Well, I'm ready. I'm ready to head into the heart of this maelstrom and confront whatever horrors it tries to drown me under. Alright, we've got Gory and we've got everybody else. Please state your name and occupation for the court. Yujin Mikitoba, lecturer in forensic science medicine at the Imperial Yume University in Tokyo, Japan. And Professor Mikitoba, the young lady beside you is? This is Dr. Maria Gory, Scotland Yard's practicing coroner, the daughter of Dr. Seath, I understand. Dr. Seath. I'm afraid I can't tell you why she's here. She just appeared. You summon this strange Japanese as a witness to the autopsy, but you don't summon Mama. That makes no sense. She was there too. That's about the size of it. I've had her eyes boring into the sides of my cheek constantly whilst in the antechamber too. Oh man, the idea of it's making me shudder. The revelations about Dr. Seath that come to light some days ago defiled the reputation of the entire judiciary. She was therefore deemed unfit to appear as a witness in today's proceedings. The Ministry of Justice's decision on that is final. Well, we wouldn't want any more perjury to be committed, would we? The Ministry of Justice? Some questionable strings are being pulled, I think. I remember you, Dr. Mikitoba, but I certainly never expected to be meeting you under these circumstances. Yes. Yes, it's been a long while, Lord Strongheart. The prosecution understands you were a visiting student of forensic science in London until 10 years ago. That's right. I studied under Dr. Wilson at St. Sinners. So you were present at the autopsy of my brother, Lord Flint Van Zeeks? I was, yes. I assisted Dr. Wilson with the entire procedure. Mama's far more skilled than any Japanese man. Well, Dr. Wilson asked me to be his primary assistant on the occasion. And this autopsy report was actually penned by you, I believe. Yes, I noted all the doctor's findings, and when we were done, he read through the document and signed it. Poor Mama. As secondary assistant, she wouldn't have had such a good view of all the innards. So, Professor, do you remember Inspector Gregson? Yes, of course. It wasn't for his insistence. Lord Van Zeek's autopsy would never have happened. But he was absolutely convinced it would reveal decisive evidence against Genshin, you see. So Lord Strongheart had to entreat the nobility to allow it to take place. Do correct me if I'm wrong, my lord. It was as a result of that autopsy that a mass murderer was apprehended and justice was done. But Gregson admitted it before he was killed. He admitted that the results of the autopsy were fabricated. You were there at the time, so you must testify. You have an obligation to tell the truth about what really went on. Absolutely. That's precisely why I'm here. And that's why I'm here too. Very well then. You will give your formal testimony now, witness. Before you begin, excuse me, a word of warning. Oh? You will state truthfully and accurately what you saw and what you heard at the time. I wouldn't dream of doing otherwise, my lord. The moment your testimony verges on supposition, I will expel you from my courtroom. Remember that. From my own observations, I couldn't say there was any indication of the autopsy results having been fabricated. Death resulted from a wound made by a Western-style sword, transfixing the heart. That I found a little strange. There were no other signs of internal injury. Nothing questionable at all. It was just that beautiful but dangerous piece of evidence removed from the man's stomach. Presumed to have been swallowed by the victim as a way of posthumously identifying his assailant. No indication? Nothing to suggest fabrication? Professor Mikitoba, are you certain about that? Well, nothing that I could positively identify as such, much less swear to in testimony. Well, that clears things up nicely. The only fabrication here, Soki, has come from you. You claim the inspector confessed just before his death, but that is the fabrication. No, he freely acknowledged it. I swear he did. Freely, with the tip of a sword at his throat. The man was clearly at his wit's end. The court will give no credence to this confession that was uttered in obvious desperation. Quite simply, there was nothing questionable about the investigation of Lord Clint Van Zeek's death. Excuse me. And with this testimony we have, without question, uncovered the whole truth of the matter. If I may, my lord. There was most certainly something questionable about it, and the whole truth does rather elude us, I feel. I beg your pardon? Well, you're obviously aware of the fact of the case. All 4 of the professor's previous victims died when an enormous beast was set upon them that ripped out their throats. Oh, such horrifying crimes. But curiously, the killer's last victim, Lord Clint Van Zeek, suffered a different fate. Yeah, you're right. He was stabbed through the heart with a sword. That's enough. I believe I warned you about this, witness. I promise to curtail your testimony as soon as it entered the realms of supposition or speculation. Very well, my lord. In that case, the defense will pursue a conclusion to this during cross-examination. What? I have the right to cross-examine every witness after testimony. And I fully intend to exercise that right. Ryunosuke, I'm afraid that even the presiding judge has no authority to contravene the letter of the law. And I'm sure every member of the judiciary present in the gallery would agree. Very well. You may begin, counsel. However, in the moment your argument strays from established facts, I will not hesitate to bring the cross-examination to an end. Proceed with caution. Yes, my lord. Why am I yawning all of a sudden? Jeez. Okay, blah 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 blah. Alrighty. Beautiful but dangerous. Well, it was sparkly and round, with a hole, as if it might slip over a finger perhaps. It was a ring, belonging to Ryunosuke. My father's ring was inside the victim's stomach? At the time, Genshin wore a large ring on the digitimus cordis of his left hand. The fourth, or ring finger. Yeah, I got one. Mine isn't dangerous, though. I got one for my 30th birthday. I understood it was some sort of keepsake. When my father left Japan for London 16 years ago, I was 8 years old. But I remember that ring. You do? My father's possessions were sent to our family home in Japan after his death, but the ring wasn't amongst them. Obviously not. It was a key piece of evidence. It remains under lock and key in the stores at Scotland Yard to this day. After the autopsy, Genshin was summoned by the police to check for the presence of his ring. It wasn't on his hand, of course. Moreover, there were deep abrasions on his finger where it had been pulled off. They arrested the man there and then, right before my eyes. How could they? I brought the ring along with me today. What? Here it is, a bit dusty from years in the stores. Youch! Good gracious, yes, that's it. I haven't seen that in 10 long years. Ay, yi. That looks painful. And that was found inside the victim's stomach? Yes, I'm afraid so. You hesitated there, Professor Mikitoba. Should we read something into that? Well... It's just thinking back now. I didn't actually witness the moment it was extracted from the victim's body. Oh my, really? At that precise moment, Dr. Wilson had asked me to fetch him a new scalpel, you see. Dr. Gory, the removal of historic evidence from the stores requires my consent, does it not? However it came to be here, the court cannot deny that this is crucial evidence for today's proceedings. Very well, you may submit it. Oh boy, there's the ring. I know from a fact. Not the sort of ring normally seen in Japan. They almost look like claws protecting the jewel. No, I don't want to autoplay that. Examine it very carefully. Very carefully indeed. These fat claws are doing a job of protecting the equally fat gemstone in the middle of the ring. Is that a ruby? Yes, if you were to clumsy, you could give yourself a rather nasty cut on them, I should think. Yow! Now my finger's bleeding. Claws really are sharp. Oh my, that was very quick clumsiness, Mr. Naruto. Even for you. Who would make such a dangerous ring? You couldn't swallow it without doing yourself some fairly serious damage, surely. A sticky mochi bun about that size would go down much better, with some red bean paste in the middle. Someone as clumsy as me would probably manage to choke on it somehow. That's sharp. Ooh boy! I don't think so. No, 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 no. Ugh. Penalty. You could span the Straits of Dover with those wide eyes, Counsel, and be gone from this island forever, I hope. You want me to fill the English Channel with tears? That's everything, is it? You look so troubled. Perhaps because 10 years ago, something happened that's been weighing on his mind. I couldn't say, worse words. That phrasing was very deliberate, I'm sure. We need to use this cross-examination to prove what really happened, and remove any trace of doubt. Alright. Alright, let's see if this works. Okay, it was 3 I had to do it on. The court has heard that the ring was extracted from the victim's stomach. But you didn't actually see it being removed, did you, Professor Mikitoba? That's right. As I said in my testimony before. At that moment, I was fetching a replacement scalpel that Dr. Wilson had requested. In other words, you can neither confirm nor deny whether this ring, in fact, really came from the victim's stomach or not. What are you suggesting, Counsel? That the ring was never in the victim's stomach to begin with. It's entirely feasible Dr. Wilson fabricated that detail about the autopsy. What are you saying? That Dr. Wilson was in possession of the ring in advance, and it was somehow stolen from Mr. Ryunosuke. And he produced it during the procedure, pretending to have found it there and then in the victim's stomach.
Objection!
Supposition at best. What possible evidence do you have to support such a rash claim? The evidence, right here. That's the autopsy report. It's explicit in that report, Counsel. Other than the ring, nothing unusual was noted internally. So I'm not sure how you intend to prove your point. You've already done it for me, my lord. The lack of internal injury says it all. What? To swallow a ring of this size would require considerable effort and determination. And in addition to its size, there are sharp claws around the gemstone to contend with. My brother was a determined man, and on the brink of death even more so, I'm sure. He would have stopped at nothing to ensure that evil killer was brought to justice. But if he really had swallowed that enormous ring, it's inconceivable that no traces of its passage down his throat would have remained as internal trauma. No! And there you've arrived at the sticking point. That's precisely why I had my doubts about the findings of myself 10 years ago. Then why didn't you say something at the time? I did. I still remember the conversation I had with Dr. Wilson in the laboratory that day. Look at this! Now, this is a very curious thing to find in a man's stomach, wouldn't you say? That is the ring up there. My camera is doing a very good well of blowing it out. But, isn't that rather peculiar, Dr. Wilson? What's that now, Mikotoba? Well, if he swallowed a ring of that size with those sharp claws it has, surely you would expect to see damage to the throat and esophagus. Torn mucous membranes at the very least. Dr. Mikotoba, may I remind you that I have vastly more experience than you. I'm terribly sorry. I can think of plenty ways to explain why no injuries would be seen. No, let's say this. The victim would appear to have ingested the item as evidence to identify his assailant. Go ahead, write it down. So I was right. Dr. Wilson deliberately fabricated the results of the autopsy to implicate my father. I'm disappointed, Counsel. The argument is nothing more than speculation. What? Dr. Wilson was Britain's leading authority on forensic science and autopsy work. There's no scientific basis on which to doubt the man's expert opinion. Pardon the interruption, my lord, but damage to the mucous membranes of the throat is easily identified even in living subjects. Using a device called an endoscope, recently demonstrated in practical use in France. I want one. The government can pay. I don't think so. And Dr. Gorey, rest assured your removal of evidence from the stores without permission will not go unpublished, or unpunished. We open up the dead to find the truth. I beg your pardon? But Mama, she chose to stitch her corpses up with all her secrets inside. That's wrong. Dr. Gorey, it's looking as though she's chosen to walk a different path to her mama. Yes, the ring. What about the ring? I've just remembered something. An earlier incident. What incident? The one I recounted to you before, about a memory I have. Of Genshin Asogi saving my life. What? My father saved your life? It was 10 years ago, on a foggy night. Genshin and I were walking down some back streets at a late hour. All of a sudden... Now make a peep! You're coming with us! All of our assailants were armed with pistols, their faces obscured by scarves. The next thing I knew, there was silence all around. Genshin lay on a cobbled street. Blood was seeping from his left hand. He'd shielded me. It was on the ring finger of his left hand that he used to wear that ring. Ah! Are you saying... We'll find out next time.